Okay, hopefully everyone can now see the presentation, financial documents check, what is required and how can I prepare. So I'm going to take you through this presentation today. And like I said, at the end of the presentation, you will have the opportunity to ask some questions also. Okay, so hopefully you find all the information required within this presentation. So today I will take you through the timeline and important dates. We'll go through what is required of your financial documents, how you can prepare for your financial documents, and examples of some maintenance. We'll also cover additional payments. And as always, we always end with our top tips on how to prepare for your CAS process and also for your visa application. So firstly, to look at the presentation, a few key things to look at. Your deposit has to have been received by GCU no later than the 24th of November. So anyone that's joined our webinar today that has still yet to accept their offer and pay their deposit, you only have a couple of days left to do this. Please note your deposit has to have been received by GCU by the 24th of November, not just sent by this date. So really time is ticking on for this deadline. Once we have received your deposit, we will then start processing your CDC. Please expect to wait anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks to receive your CDC. So anyone that is on the webinar today asking, where is my CDC or where is my CAS? Please note the date that your deposit was confirmed by us to you. If it has been more than 4 weeks, then please do let us know and we'll do all we can to look into this. But if it's been under 4 weeks, then please, we ask for your patience at this time. At CDC stage, you will find out if you're required to submit to us your financial documents. And these are the financial documents that we're going to go on to talk about mainly in the presentation. But I want to highlight at this stage the requirement to submit your FinDocs by the 11th of December. After you have submitted your FinDocs and you've replied to your CDC, you will then be presented with your CAS. And this can take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks after replying to your CDC and providing your financial documents. I also just want to highlight that CAS issuing, that GCU will be issuing CAS all throughout December up until mid to late December. So we are still in CAS issuing time. We've still got a lot of time to go to get through the CASs we've still to get through. And I also just want to note at this stage about the latest start date. On your CDC and on your CAS, you will have your preferred start date, which is the start date for induction. And it will also have on it the latest start date or the latest enrolment date. And this date can't change. This is the latest date that you have to have arrived in the UK, be in attendance and be fully registered in the UK and on campus. So just want to highlight that point to you just now. So let's go on to talk about financial documents. What is required? Majority of applicants will be required to show the UKVI at the time of their visa application that they have enough money to pay for their course, their tuition fee, and to support themselves in the UK. Depending on where you are studying, so whichever campus you have applied for, depends on the amount that you have to show. So for our courses in London, you have to show £1,334 per month, up to 9 months as your maintenance. And for courses outside London, this is £1,023 per month. Your financial documents, the money has to be held in your account for at least 28 consecutive days. And the end date of the 28-day period must be within 30 days of the date you apply for your visa. So I have popped an example below for you because sometimes it can be hard to understand that. So if your bank statement is dated the 1st of November to the 30th of November, This means that you must make your visa application no later than the 31st of December. The closing balance of the bank statement must show the total funds required. So this is your tuition fee plus your maintenance, and the statement cannot fall below the required funds at any point within the 28 days. It's really important that you check the exchange rate, because your exchange rate will be calculated using Oanda currency converter, and I have popped the link to that website on the presentation if you want to take a note of that. So the account that you present to the UKVI has to either be in the applicant's name, your name, be a joint account, or your parent or legal guardian's account. Your account must show the account number, the date of the statement, the financial institution's name, the logo, and the amount of money available. You can use more than one bank account to show this, that you have these funds. However, you cannot use bank accounts from any business or company, even if this is your own company. And you also can't use bank accounts from friends or relatives, such as siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or cousins. The money in your account must have immediate access to the funds. So if you have a savings account that doesn't give you immediate access to the funds, for instance, this wouldn't be suitable. Some other bank accounts that are not acceptable are overdrafts, Bitcoin savings, stocks and shares, pensions, bank accounts that don't use electronic record keeping, and bank accounts that are not regulated by the financial regulatory body in the country in which the bank operates. I also want to highlight at this point that GCU does not accept microfinance banks either. This is because UKVI required to do bank verification checks, and UKVI may check with your bank that you have an account with them. And they have a list of contacts that they use, and if the bank does not respond to UKVI, it can actually end in a visa refusal for you. So we find that we have to be very strict on the banks that we allow prior to issuing your CAS. So when you're preparing your financial documents, please be aware of that the bank account has to be regulated by the financial regulatory body in the country in which your bank operates. So UKVI confirm the list of countries required to provide financial evidence, and you can look at www.gov.uk/student-visa/money to see the full list of countries that are not required to provide financial evidence, but majority of countries are required. So my advice to everyone on the webinar today is to make sure that you have started to prepare your financial documents so that you are visa application ready. So when you get your CAS, you are able to make your visa application as soon as possible. As mentioned, GCU may ask to provide for you to provide your financial documents to us for checks and verification prior to us releasing your CAS. If you're asked to provide to us your financial documents, you have to do this by the 11th of December. So please be aware of that requirement. So please, like I've already said, please start preparing your financial documents as soon as possible to be able to make this deadline date. So I just want to go on to give you a few examples of maintenance. So the first example is a Glasgow campus student whose tuition fee is £15,500. So minus the 2,000 scholarship that they received, and they have already paid £4,000, they are required to show in their bank £9,500, which would cover the remaining tuition fee. For their maintenance, they have to show £1,023 times 9 months, which is £9,207. So that means there is a total requirement to show £9,707. And obviously you need to double check that in Rwanda if you are converting from your home currency to UK pounds. For London campus student, again, tuition fee is £15,500 minus £2,000 scholarship, but this time this applicant has paid £8,000 deposit. So they are required to only show £5,500 to pay remaining tuition fee. Their maintenance is £1,334 times 9 months, and they are required to show £12,000 and £6. So this would be a total requirement in their bank account of £17,506. And this total requirement, just as to highlight, is required to be held for 28 days. So I want to just go on to talk about additional payments. Additional payments happen for a couple of reasons. It can happen because you may submit your financial documents to us and they don't meet the requirements. So to make the requirements, we may ask you to make an additional payment towards your tuition fee, because then your financial documents would make the requirements. So it can actually help us accept your financial documents and help you be able to make your visa application quicker. The other time where additional payments you may be required to happen is that at the time when your financial documents are verified by GCU, there could be a couple of days or a week between us verifying them and you making your visa application online. And on the day you make your visa application, we strongly suggest that you actually check Rwanda on that day to make sure there's not been any fluctuation on the exchange rate. And if there has, that's another point in time where you may want to make an additional payment to your tuition fee to make sure that your visa application is going to be successful. So if you are required to make an additional payment, we highly recommend that you use Flywire method, which you do via the applicant portal, and that you inform the CAS team as soon as possible that you've made an additional payment. This means that we can quite quickly go onto the UKVI sponsor management system and update your live CAS with any additional payment that you have made. So coming to the end of the presentation, I just want to finish off with a couple of top tips. So if you're still waiting to get your CDC, this part in particular is for you. So top tips to prepare for your CAS process at GCU. So please ensure your valid, most up-to-date passport is available on the applicant portal. Please ensure all previous visa refusals documentation, including visit visa refusals, have been added to your portal also. Please start preparing your financial documents now if you haven't already. And also, please familiarise yourself with the student visa application requirements. And I have put a few links on this presentation that you can see that I'll also add to the chat also, so that you can link to these, so that you're fully prepared to make your visa application. What we want to achieve is, while we are processing your CDC and CAS, that you're also being prepared so that when you receive your CAS, you can make your visa application as soon as possible. So our top tips to prepare for your visa application is to ensure you make your visa application within 24 hours of receiving your CAS and no later than 5 days. I would like to stress this point. We have just came from the September intake, where a number of applicants were held up with visa application processing times with UKVI. And unfortunately, GCU don't have any effect on being able to hurry these along or contact UKVI on this. So the best prepared you can be is when you get your CAS to make your visa application immediately to stop any further delays. As mentioned, please ensure you check the exchange rate on the day you make your visa application to ensure your financial documents meet these requirements. And also, please start preparing for a credibility interview. When you make your visa application on the UKVI website, You will then find out once you do your biometrics appointment if you are going to have a credibility interview. This GCU do not give you a credibility interview. This is UKVI. Not everyone gets a credibility interview, but UKVI will contact you if you have been selected for a credibility interview. I have linked some information here on how you can prepare, but my advice to everyone is to assume that you will be invited to a credibility interview and to start preparing for this. So I just wanted to share with you our contact details. So the CAS team is the team within the university that is dedicated to supporting to get you your CAS to make your visa application. So we will help you with your financial documents, additional payments, any advice that you have on the CAS process. You can contact us at cas@gcu.ac.uk. But also, I have provided you with our visa team's details. We have a dedicated visa team that also support applicants and also our students throughout their whole journey at GCU. And they are available at visa@gcu.ac.uk. So I'm just going to stop the presentation now and go over to see some of the questions perhaps that you may have had on the presentation. So I know that my colleague Johnny has been helping do some questions and answers while I've been chatting. So thank you, Johnny, on that. But we'll just look at some questions, and perhaps it might be good for me to read some out if we've been asked similar questions to try and answer some of these for you. So if you just give me a couple of minutes, I'll just have a quick look through at some of your questions. So the first question I've just noticed is someone's just asked about dependents, and what a good question to start with, to be fair. You'll be aware, I'm sure everyone's aware, that the policy, the UKVI policy on dependents has changed. And for any programme starting in January, this affects anyone starting their programme in January. It doesn't matter when you get your CAS or when you apply for your visa application. It's actually when it's when your program starts. So majority of everyone's programs actually all of everyone's programs for January starts in January. They don't start before that. And the change in dependence rule means that unless you are in a research focused program, you're not able to bring dependents to the UK on a student if you're on a student visa. Again, what I'll do is I'll just tag to you the information on that on the UKVI so that you can see that. So you can see clearly the information about dependents. So I'll just do that for anyone who wants information on that. Okay. There we go. Thank you for that question, though. Okay, I can see a few people are asking about it's taking this long for my CAS, etc., etc. So I just wanted to reiterate this on the CDC front. At this moment in time, we are supporting people who have paid from week commencing the 23rd of October and probably just going into week commencing the 30th of October. So anyone who has paid at the end of October, we are starting to process your we're starting to process your CDC this week. And maybe by the tail end of this week, we might be able to start processing applicants that have paid very early November, the 1st or 2nd of November. So anyone that has paid after this date is still within the 3 to 4 week turnaround time. So we just ask for your patience at that time. For anyone that has fully answered their CDC and provided their financial documents, it takes around 1 to 2 weeks for us to send your CAS. So we will be back in contact with you within that timeline. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions. Johnny, is there any themes in particular you want me to cover, or is everything, are they all good individual questions, or is there anything repeatedly asked that I've not perhaps covered? Let's have a little look. Yeah, so someone has asked a question about visa delays in their country. We do look at intel in terms of visa application turnaround times in each of our countries that we operate in, and we do try and prioritise applications where possible. The standard turnaround time for applications is 3 weeks from your biometrics appointment. So not from the date you make your first visa application online, it's from your biometrics appointment. And obviously you can pay additional money for priority and super priority appointments also. So at this time, we are still confident that the intel that we have, that doing our kind of priorities that we have and working with our timelines, everyone will be able to get their CAS by the latest CAS issuing deadline, which is the 20th of December, and be able to make their visa application, straight after that date, and be able to get to the UK and be studying by the latest start date that's on your CAS. Just want to reiterate this at this point as well about the deadline of the financial documents checks. So if you are required to submit your financial documents, which majority of applicants do, have to submit these to GCU before we process your CAS. These have to be submitted to us by the 11th of December at the latest. If you submit these earlier to us, of course, you'll get your CAS earlier. Just want to give you the heads up on that in case some people may have not had their CDC yet and we haven't requested the financial documents. So if you're unsure if you have to submit or not, best to prepare that you are required to submit, and the deadline to submit is the 11th of December. So please prepare your financial documents now. I guess that's the one thing I would love for you all to take away from this webinar, is to be prepared for your financial documents, but also please be prepared to make your visa application as soon as you receive your CAS.
Sorry, Elaine, I wasn't ignoring you there. My screen froze for a moment.
It's okay, no problem, Johnny. Thank you.
We've been asked a couple of times about supplying financial documents before receiving CDC, or what happens if there is a delay in us getting back after CDC and they've already provided financial documents. I would say that you may provide your financial documents before receiving your CDC by sending it to our CAS mailbox, cas@gcu.ac.uk. But we may ask for up-to-date statements once you do receive your CDC. On that same note, if you have provided financial documents and it's taken a couple of weeks for us to then issue your CAS, please ensure that your financial documents are still within the 31 days before making your visa application and that they haven't gone out of date. If they go out of date, then there's a strong chance that you will receive a visa refusal from UKVI. And of course, if at any point during that process you want us to recheck your financial documents, then by all means send them to that email address that I gave you, cas@gcu.ac.uk.
Great. Thank you, Johnny. That's really good points to cover there as well. Also, what I have popped on as well is the financial evidence for student route applicants. This is the information from UKVI. It's really, really, really useful. So I have popped that there as well. And that tells you in much more detail the accounts that you can use, the information that are required. If your financial documents is from a student loan, it also gives you information in regards to that. So I would highly recommend that you also look through that while you're preparing for your financial documents. Oh, sorry, I just think I pasted it in the wrong place, so apologies. I'm just pasting it in the right place now. And also, secondly, I'm going to just paste, this was the information on dependents, on the new dependent rule in terms of if you can or cannot apply for dependents on the programme you're studying. Like I mentioned, the majority of postgrad programmes, you cannot bring dependents now with the UKVI policy change. Yeah, a few people have provided their ID number and their specific cases. Like I said, please don't post any personal information on this chat, because this chat is being recorded. So if you have got a specific case you want us to look into, please email cas@gcu.ac.uk. I'll also just pop that on the chat as well, so that everyone has that, and we'll be able to get back to you. But like I mentioned, we are working to our time frame. So anyone who has anyone that has paid, we are working with applicants that have paid, like I said, week commencing the 23rd of October and week commencing the 30th of October. We've started to process CDCs this week. So anyone that paid after this date, please be patient at this time, and we are working through as quickly and as accurately as we possibly can. We are confident we'll be able to get through everyone, giving everyone ample time to be able to apply for their visa. But like I said, what you can do in the meantime, while you wait for your CDC or your CAS, is make sure that you are visa application ready. And just to reiterate, to be visa application ready, we need your financial documents to be ready, and we also need you to be able to make your visa application within, 1 to 5 days of receiving your CAS. Someone's just asked, a couple of people asking about some timeline things. You cannot travel until you've had your visa application outcome and your documents have been returned. So you won't be able to travel to the UK until this date. I understand everyone's very eager to book their flights and get here as soon as possible. But on your CAS, you will have the start date, which is the induction date. And then you'll have a latest start date. So applicants have up until the latest start date to arrive in the UK, pass through border control, and attend the university, be in attendance, the latest start date. So for the majority of people, that is the 12th of February. So you have up until that date to be in attendance at the university. There will be a few programmes that date will not be the 12th, so please reference your CAS document for that. So if we are able to provide you with your CAS by the 20th of December, it still provides everyone ample time to apply for their visa and get to the UK before the 12th of February, and for everyone to be on campus and in attendance by the 12th of February. Of course, it's our intention to try get everyone here before that. We understand that induction and the start of teaching is very important to our applicants, but I just want to give everyone a level of comfort that they do have up until this date to arrive in the UK. So just to answer a couple of questions on this, is that you should not travel until you have received your visa application. You won't be able, you would be stopped at border control if you travel without the relevant documentation. Someone has also asked, is it possible to get a CAS within a month? The answer is perhaps. It depends on when you've paid, and at that time how far back we are still working. We've had people paying for January intake from August and September. People have paid really early for this intake. So if you paid later, so if you only paid in November, up until the latest start date, the latest deposit deadline, it will take us a couple of weeks to be able to get through to your CDC. But yeah, it can take around about 4 weeks to get your final CAS. It just depends if all your documentation is together, etc. Okay, just looking at another couple of questions that's coming through. Someone has mentioned that their program duration on their offer and on their CDC don't match quite considerably, actually. So yes, this is something you should raise when replying to your CDC. When you receive your CAS data check, which is your CDC, you're actually approving that all the information is accurate. Or if you have any queries or any sort of things that you're unsure of and the information there, you should be querying it with your officer. So if you think that the dates that have been provided on your CDRC are wrong, please reply to your officer on that. Okay, someone has asked about a previous visa refusal and that they've had an admin review on this. So in terms of that specific case, it might be best that you email cas@gcu.ac.uk and we will get our visa department also involved to see what additional things that we need to do for your case. But just to talk about visa refusals in general and admin reviews, if you have had a previous visa refusal, please ensure that you declare this at the time of your CDC and that you have all information prepared to send us. We support lots of applicants who've had previous visa refusals, but we do have to analyse and go through your previous visa refusals and understand the reasons why to help support you going forward with your new visa refusal. We are trying to do everything we possibly can to ensure that you get a successful visa, and by doing that we have to revisit your previous visa refusals. Okay, just having another quick look through the questions. Someone has just said that they have made an additional payment. Please, and they've replied to their CDC, make sure that you've emailed cas@gcu.ac.uk to alert your officer that you've made an additional payment. So that's exactly just going over what I had mentioned. There's lots of occasions why you need to make an additional payment, like I said, because your financial documents won't meet the requirements if you don't do an additional payment, or perhaps a fluctuation in the exchange rate. If you have made an additional payment, please email cas@gcu.ac.uk to inform us. Of course, our finance department do provide us a report of everyone that has newly paid, but as I'm sure you can imagine, when you pay, it goes through our accounts department. It has to be registered in our accounts ledger, and then we are notified. So it can take anywhere from 2 to 5 days for admissions to be alerted of these payments. If you alert us straight away that you've made an additional payment, our officers will be aware of that and be able to actually chase up our accounts department to get that confirmed, so that we are not on hand to timely update either a CDC or a CAS to ensure it's actually a true reflection of the amount of money you have to show in your account. So thank you for that question. So it's good just to reiterate that again. When replying to your CDC, no, you don't have to edit the actual CDC. If you just reply to the email with any inaccuracies that you have found. And also what is key about your CDC is you're doing two things. In the email body that you receive your CDC attached to, there is about 4 or 5 questions. Please answer each one of these questions, but also check the attachment to ensure the accuracy of it. Someone has asked a question on financial documents in about 28 days and asked, can I submit my financial statements to the CAS team even when it's not met the 28-day requirements? My answer to that is normally no, because we will not be able to issue your CAS if we cannot see the 28-day requirement that UKVI needs. What's best to do in your case is to speak directly to your officer to see how else can we support you. You know, can you make an additional payment perhaps to meet that 28-day turnaround time? But yeah, normally I would say that we wouldn't accept financial documents if they don't meet every requirement that UKVI require. That's basically why we are double checking and verifying these documents, is to provide you with the best opportunity to get a successful visa. And if you made a visa application and you didn't make the 28-day requirement, you would instantly get a visa refusal. And these checks and verifications, why we do this is to try to support our applicants as much as we possibly can to ensure that they get successful visas. Okay, I think someone's just mentioning that they're very close to the 28-day requirement. However, their money is in an account that is not suitable by UKVI. I think it's in a business. I think it's in a business account they've mentioned. So again, I'm just going to publish the link to UKVI's requirements in terms of financial evidence. If your money is in an account that is not suitable, your officer will be able to provide you with some support in what to do. But in general, we ask applicants to move that money to a suitable account. UKVI are very clear on their requirements. And if your account is one of the accounts that they have confirmed is not suitable, then you cannot submit your visa, that account to your visa application, because it'll end in a visa refusal. So your officer that's assigned to your case at GCU will be able to provide you some more guidance and information on that, but that's just a general answer. And again, I would direct everyone to the financial evidence for student and child student route applicants that I have posted a couple of times in the public. Okay, there's a few questions that are kind of coming through thick and fast. I just want to just double check. I think Fraz Ahmed, I think you're kind of popping your student number and ID, etc. As mentioned, it's not about the date that you've uploaded all your documents, etc. It's the date that you've paid your deposit deadline. Your deposit date. And as mentioned, at this moment in time, anyone that paid after 1st of November, we are prioritising the applicants who have paid in October at this moment in time. The turnaround time is 3 to 4 weeks. If you paid in October, week commencing the 23rd of October, week commencing the 30th of October is our priorities for this week, and will continue to be up until Monday of next week. And we are hopeful we'll be able to provide majority of people who paid in October their CDC. So if you have paid in November, we're just asking for a little bit more patience. I do apologise. I know you have posted a couple of times, but because you're posting quite specific about your case, this is when I'm suggesting you should email cas@gcu.ac.uk. Someone's saying that they're not sure if they've to submit their financial documents to GCU. At the time of CDC, you would have been requested to submit your financial documents. If that wasn't clear, I presume you haven't been asked, but all you do is email cas@gcu.ac.uk and they'll be able to confirm that to you if not. Okay. Yep, good question on the turnaround times someone has asked in regards to where I have said when you reply fully to your CDC, and fully is you confirm it's accurate and you answer all the questions we've asked in the email body, and if required, you have provided your FinDocs. So when you have fully replied to your CDC, I've said it can take 1 to 2 weeks to get your CAS. Of course, that is the maximum period of time. We try get that out within a couple of days, up to a week, but it depends. Every case is different. Sometimes when you reply to your CDC, you have spotted inaccuracies, so they need to be updated. We have to recheck information. You may have provided information, you've got a visa refusal. So we can't give a blanket answer on this. If there's no, if your CDC is completely accurate and you've fully answered and you've provided all the information, then yeah, it won't take as long as 2 weeks. But like I said, that is our turnaround times that we're saying it wouldn't take a maximum of 2 weeks. So we try, where possible, always to get your CAS out to you as soon as we possibly can. I think there's a couple of questions here. I'm not fully understanding the question about, due to the strict rules on visa processing by UKVI, can you please tell us why most of the students do not get a straightforward email from the embassy? I'm not fully understanding the question or the information. I think this might be more on the actual visa application process side. Again, we are going to be covering another webinar in 2 weeks' time, where a representation from our dedicated visa team will be attending. At this stage, the webinar is being run by the CAS team, where we are dedicated on the kind of the CAS processing side of things. So our visa team may be able to answer quite specific questions on visa applications, if that's what that question is retaining to. But if you are requiring an answer in that to help you with your CAS processing, you can either email visa@gcu.ac.uk if it's in regards to the visa application, or email cas@gcu.ac.uk. So yeah, any specific visa type questions, we are having another session, another webinar in 2 weeks' time. So please look out for the invite for this. And one of our dedicated visa team will be there. Someone's asking, where do you upload your financial documents? Good question. You can send these directly to cas@gcu.ac.uk, or you can upload your financial documents to the application kind of portal that you've been using to upload your other documents. What would be extremely helpful to us as officers at this extremely busy time is if you have uploaded financial documents to your portal, please also drop us an email to say that you've done that. So it's always useful for us to know so that we're aware. So you can do it by email or you can do it to the portal, whichever is easiest for you. A question's just come in about someone who's paid on the 2nd of November. As I've mentioned, we are prioritising people who've paid on the 30th of October, who've paid on October up until the 31st of October at this stage. We will shortly be moving on to applicants that have paid early November. But like I said, the turnaround time is 3 to 4 weeks, and 2nd of November is still within that timeline. Someone's asking, does visa include permits or just visas, refusals? So if you've had a visa refusal, you have to make us aware of that. And that could be a student visa refusal or a visit visa refusal. Okay. Anything that you can tell us about your previous visa immigration history that's going to help us support you get a successful visa, please inform us at the time of CDC. Thank you. Okay, just checking in with Johnny to see if there's anything else that we want to address. I know the questions, he's been very good at answering all your questions on the Q&A section, and I've been trying to just read out the questions that have came through the chat. I think it looks like we're pretty much answered the majority of the general questions now. But we will give everyone another minute or two to ask any additional questions that they may have, or if anyone wants me to go over anything. Maybe what I'll do is go back to the slide where it has the kind of a timeline and important dates, for everyone just to be aware of these dates. I know we've spoke about them a lot through the webinar, so hopefully you're aware of these now, but just so that you have these too. Okay, so I think Johnny's just replying to a couple more queries. But like I said, hopefully you're able to join us for the next webinar that will be taking place, and this will be focused on the visa application process. So hopefully that is also another really useful webinar for you to attend. So please watch out for the information on how to sign up to that one also. Okay, someone's came with a quite specific question about that they won't be able to make the 11th of December deadline. Again, that's something that you should discuss with your officer, and we'll let you know how we can support you on that. So thank you for your question. Someone's asked, please can you explain the 31 days financial statement again? My statements need to be 28 days or 31 days. Absolutely, no problem at all. Let me just come to that slide again for you. So, the money that's required to be held in your account has to be held for a minimum of 28 days, okay? Obviously, it can be held longer than that, but the minimum has to be 28 days, and that has to be the remaining tuition fee, and it also has to be your maintenance to show that you have got enough money to support yourself when you're in the UK. So that has to be held in your account for a minimum of 28 days. Where the 31 days come from is that your bank account statement that you provide to us to show us that you've held the money for 28 days. It can't be any, the period has to be within 31 days. So it has to be a recent bank statement that you've provided us. So for instance, if the money in your account, if the bank statement that you've provided is from the 1st of November to the 30th of November, you have to have submitted your visa application by the 31st of December for that bank statement to be accurate. If it's not accurate, for instance, if your bank statement that you provide was like the 1st of October to the 30th of October, for instance, and you were making your visa application on the 10th of December, you would just need to prepare another bank statement to show. So I guess a bit of advice there is that although you may have met the 28-day requirement, don't touch anything in that account, because you may actually have to provide another bank statement if you've not made your visa application in time. So it's a 28-day period that the money has to be held in the account, but the 31 days come into it. It's about making sure a valid, up-to-date bank statement has been provided. So hopefully that provides that information on that. So a couple more questions just coming through right at the end there. Let's just see. Okay. I think someone's just double checking on the 28 days. Do you count the 1st and the 28th? So I am just going to ask Johnny, who is much more involved in this than myself, but it would be from the 29th then of October that statement would have held the money for 28 days. Would that be correct, Johnny?
Yes, yeah, it needs to be 28 full days. So if the statement runs from the 1st to the 28th of a month, but is printed on the 28th, then it doesn't show that full day. So it would need to be from the 1st to it would need to be printed the day after, really, so that it shows your account from the 1st to the 28th. So those 2 days included would be your 28-day period.
Great, thank you,
That makes
Johnny.
sense. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we're running out of time slightly, but I know there's a couple of quick questions that come in. Someone's asked, how do I reach out to my CAS officer? You'll be assigned a CAS officer at the stage of CDC, but if you have any questions, regardless if you're wanting to direct to the officer or just generally to CAS, you email cas@gcu.ac.uk. Someone has said that they've been waiting on an email, a response back from the visa team. If you want to email cas@gcu.ac.uk after this, we will see what we can do to help that along. I'm not sure what your query is in regards to with the visa team, but if you want to email CAS, we will see if we can help you with your query. Again, I think that's just about us, just about out of time. So I just firstly wanted to thank everyone for their time today. I understand financial documents is a little bit tricky to get our head around, but my advice to you is please look at the support that is out there, the UKVI website that I've provided you the links to. And I am just going to end on the link, is really, really useful. So please make sure you're aware of all the requirements. That tells you the bank statements that are available, the bank formats that you can submit, etc. Also, the information on our website, on GCU website, we've got a wealth of knowledge and information there as well. So please reference that. But if you're still unsure, please do reach out to the CAS team and we'll try our hardest to be able to unpick any of the questions that you have. And like I said, thank you for your patience while we work through the CDCs and the CAS, working to the timeline. If you are outside that timeline, please do get in contact. But if not, I just ask for your patience at this extremely busy time to allow us to process. So again, thank you for your time today. It was hopefully a very useful session for you all. So thank you again.